All right. Good morning, folks. Lord's Day. Happy Lord's Day. God's Day. All right. Little touch base on, excuse me, I'm having a little coffee. On the Kohlberger case, right? People are like, he's innocent. He didn't do it. And, well, we have to go back to the original when it first happened. The interview with the one girl that lived there that said she's seen him. And what was her statement? Her statement was that she remembered that he had bushy eyebrows, right? So, in this whole case, there's only two people, I believe, that had bushy eyebrows, right? There was Joe from the food truck that had bushy eyebrows. The guy that the two girls had the altercation with at the food truck. So, is it possible that it wasn't him? That it that he stumbled on to that house at the wrong time, right? Some people are saying, well, he was a delivery driver for a restaurant or whatever. They ordered food and he was the one that delivered the food. Well, if that's true, then why didn't he call the police himself? If he stumbled on to a crime scene, why didn't he call the police himself? There's a lot of questions that are not answered by that. And I am still wondering why nobody called the police until 12 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. That's very interesting, folks. There's two people that survived, and they called friends and other people to come to the property before they called the police. Right? We got people coming out now saying that there was people there before the police early in the morning. Right? So yeah, I would say something cover up, maybe. But you got to ask yourself if he was, if he did, if he was just a food truck delivery guy or whatever, Uber driver or whatever, and he did late or early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, deliver the food and stumbled upon a crime scene, him himself. Well, what'd he do? He just left. He didn't call the police either. Right? So it's very interesting. Good morning, Tahoe. It's very interesting how people are saying, well, he's innocent, he's this, he's that. He was there. That could explain his DNA. He delivered the food or whatever. He was the Uber driver, whatever. But it all goes back to the statement that one of the girls seen somebody there with bushy eyebrows. That's all she said was, all I know is he had bushy eyebrows. Right? Well, there was only two people that have kind of bushy eyebrows. One was Kohlberger, and the other was Big Joe from the food truck. So it'll be interesting. I don't think, for some reason, I'm glad they got the guy, right? And I have a feeling they're going to connect a lot more stuff to Kohlberger before this is all over. And Kohlberger, he wants this case to go into court, and he wants it to go in fast. He wants this trial to start. And everyone's like, well, why? Well, because he don't want more charges. Do you understand, folks? He don't want people to start digging into other cases that fit the MO of these cases and robberies, right? Now, there are people, I watched a couple of videos and they said, well, they found IDs in his apartment on his property or whatever. Yeah, I mean, That's crazy, you know? And that fits being a serial killer, right? They keep stuff from their victims. So I think they probably got the right guy, but I'm more interested in, did he have friends, right? Did he communicate with these people that he was studying, right? He was studying killers and murderers and people that killed. You know, how many of these people was he talking to? And I think the reason he flew under the radar so much was because he knew law. He was a criminology. He knew what he can get away with, what he couldn't. He probably had access to the police. They probably gave him information once he said, well, I'm a professor assistant at Washington State and I'm studying criminology and I'm assisting the professor and the teacher and all that. And they probably gave him information. Or at least he was digging for information all the time. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. And, we're on the hunt for the murder weapon. That could be anywhere, folks. He could have dumped that anywhere, right? From here, from Washington, all the way to Pennsylvania, right? Somewhere in between there, whatever routes he took, which they would have to get the data off his phone. That would tell the routes that he took to find the murder weapon. There's got to be a murder weapon, and there might be many murder weapons. I mean, if he's a serial killer, I don't know how many bodies you need to kill before the government says we might have a serial killer on our hand. I don't know what the body count is, but one murder is too much, let alone 2, 3, whatever. He was a druggie. People keep saying, no, he wasn't. He was a druggie. Yeah, I don't know what to say. How many of these people did he talk to? Did he sell drugs? Was he a hitman for someone? There's a lot of questions. I think he was just a psychopath. You could see it in his eyes. A cold person, right? And of course, everybody wants to get the right guy. I understand that. But when they got all this evidence in DNA and other things that you don't know about yet, because you won't find out actually what they really do have until court, right? Till a trial. So I think Kohlberger wants the trial to go fast. He wants, so they can't come in and say, well, hey, we connected them to this, we connected them to that, we connected them to this. I don't know. His parents testifying. They must have known something, folks, right? To call the parents in to testify. So it might be, I don't know, it could have been a father and son team. Now, these are just my speculations, my theories. But, yeah, we're looking at them. A lot of people are pissed. I'm like, we want to talk to them about the Delphi case. Right? Supposedly he had family out here or whatever. Anything is possible, folks. Right? You can't, when you're investigating a crime, you don't take nothing off of the table. Anything is possible with a serial killer or just a nut job. Right? He wanted to be smarter than everyone else. He wanted to be above the law. Right? Good morning, Tahoe. So we'll see what happens, but it ain't over. And I imagine, I'm thinking before it does go into court, there will be more charges put on him. I think they're going to start connecting the dots. And this is why social media can wreck a case. Do I think he was on social media? Yes. Do I think he was stupid for being on social media after the cases? Yes. He was not as smart as you folks think. Right? He was not as smart as you folks think. He probably had burner phones. He was probably staying right one step ahead of them. I think they had a suspicion it was him, but they just couldn't connect the dots. I think they've been watching him for a while, right? FBI. But they just didn't have the evidence, right? And I think they were looking for him in other cases, but they just didn't have the evidence they needed, the DNA that they needed. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And you got to go back now and you got to talk to every person that Brian Kohlberger talked to in this study that he was doing. You know, how many killers did he talk to? Where were they? What states? Did they join forces? Right? A lot of questions. A lot of people are like, you're crazy. It can't be. Well, there ain't nothing impossible. And that's what people really don't understand. Nothing is impossible, folks. So it'll be interesting to see. Some people are saying demonic. It is, whatever it may be. Don't worry, folks. Pretty soon, this is all everyone's world will come to an end if they knew the truth, right? I think in June the trial starts next year, I think, or something. Or was it this year? I'm not sure. Right? And here's the other thing. He wants a trial. He wants a fast trial. He wants to try and explain his stuff. Here's another thing. If it wasn't Brian Kohlberger, it was somebody that had access to his. Oh, there's John. There he is. Whoever it was, they had access to his apartment. Right? They had access to his apartment. They had to have. Right? How did they get his DNA? How did they get the sheath to the knife? And that's what a lot of people are not. They're not asking questions. They're just like, well, it's planted DNA. Right? Well, if he was set up, he must have knew whoever it was. They must have had access to his house or apartment. Right? To get the DNA to put it at the crime scene. Right? Could it have been a jealous boyfriend of one of the girls and they set him up? Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Could it have been a disgruntled worker at his apartment, maintenance guy? Yeah, anything's possible. Oh, my new clock is chiming. Someone's knocking at my door. Someone's ringing the bell. That's the beginning of Paul McCartney's song, I think. Do me a favor, open the door and let him in. I don't think so. He's probably a killer. But a lot of questions people ain't asking. A lot of things they're not doing they should be doing, which is making people think, well, it could be a cover-up or something. It could be. Who knows? You know, we weren't there, so we don't know. But our hunt is for the knife. Right? He wants a speedy trial. He don't want more stuff coming out. Right? He wants to get this in, get out. He wants to prove his innocence. Well, there's only one way to prove his innocence, right? someone had a grudge against them and set them up. I find it highly implausible, uh, you know. And if he's going to use that, well, I was just a delivery driver and I dropped off the food. And when I showed up there, it was crazy. Well, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't these other people call the police? Right? They called other people before they called the police. Well, it ain't making sense, folks. And whenever it don't make sense, somebody's trying to cover up something, right? It could have been drugs. It could have been a drug hit. They owed him money. It could have been a jealous thing or something. Anything is plausible, right? We're seeing that in a lot of these cases. Summerwell's case, the Delphi case, so many cases that we're starting to see are a cover-up or just something to feed their drug addiction, subs, views, whatever it may be. Snapchat, chitty chitty bang bangs and everything. So I bet he does want to go into a speedy trial so they don't find anything else out about him. Beautiful morning out. Thank the Lord for another day. Now, you folks have your own minds. You can figure things out, but we're going to stay on track here on this channel. We're going to keep going. And I think a lot of you folks are going to be shocked what kind of madhouse YouTube has become and what they turned some of these cases into. It ain't about the kids. Do you understand, folks? It ain't about the kids. It ain't about none of these people. It's about money, right? There are some good channels out there. CDT, Little Alex Erickson, ATS News, No Thanks Doug, and a whole bunch of them, Griff's channel, but that's gone madhouse. Benny Keys and all of them, they're not interested in solving the case, let alone anything else than money or drugs or sex. It's turned into a zoo. Thank God I ain't involved in it. Right. Ain't involved in it. So be safe out there, folks. And evil hides everywhere. Evil is everywhere. Right? I've watched enough documentaries on serial killers, the Iceman, Richard, right? A lot of these guys, the Whitey Bulger documentary, and these guys would go out and kill, slaughter girls, men, kids, whatever, and be at home at 5 o'clock to have dinner with their families, right? You interview their families, and their families were like, oh, they were just a normal person, right? Just a regular dad. But all along, they're out killing people, abusing women, and all kinds of stuff. So anything is possible. And that's where a lot of these people went wrong, right? They just couldn't put the pieces together. But on this channel, we're going to stick to what we're doing. And we'll keep an eye on the Summerwell's case and the rest of them. But it's turned into a zoo, folks. Summerwell's case, right? Oh my God, my daughter's missing everything. We want to search your property and then have search teams and go out. No, they didn't cooperate with the police. That's a sign. It's like the John Bonet Ramsey case, right? Everyone thought there's no way they killed their own daughter. But as the investigation went through, all evidence pointed towards the family, and no one could believe it. But when you got 352 million, like John Ramsey, that buys a lot of cookies, folks. You understand? So we're seeing a lot of this. Money, I told you, money, greed. Right? There's a will, there's a way. They'll buy their way out of it. It's like so many other Delphi. I think Delphi was many people, and they tried to cover it up. Right? It was a little kitty porn or kitty picture thing or whatever it was they were doing. Right? It was a gang. It was a club or whatever. A group of them. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I have the right to my opinion. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. I want to thank God for another day. And nothing's over until the fat lady sings, folks. The Delphi case, open case. It's still an open case. The Summer Wells case, it is still open. And so many more of these cases are still open. Even the little Mikey Vaughn case is still an open case. Right? So do I think Brian Kohlberger wants to get this trial going? Speedy trial to try and trip them up, and hopefully they miss something, or hopefully they don't find other bodies to connect them to Brian Kohlberger. Oh, yeah. And the other thing is as long as it's going to trial, they cannot put him in general population. He knows he's going to be protected. So he wants this trial to go through, right? He don't want to be convicted and then end up in general population. So he's going to string out this trial as long as he can, unless he cuts a deal, which that would be the smartest thing to do, cut a deal. Come clean about the Idaho 4 killings and any other killings he has done. And maybe cut a deal where they take the death penalty off and they protect him. He'll never get out of jail. He'll spend the rest of his life in jail. Right? But at least he won't die. I don't know. All right, you folks have a great day. I got to go over to my mother's later on at 3 o'clock and they're having a cookout. And I got more laundry to do. Got to do some laundry. So you folks have a great day. Be safe. And remember, when it comes to a quadruple murder, anything is possible. When it comes to a psychopath, anything is possible, folks. Anything. The most craziest, ridiculous thing that you thought would never happen or is impossible is possible. So keep that in mind. You folks have a great day. There are some good channels out there that do nothing but report on these murder cases and missing kids. And that's just it. They're reporters. They report on it. They're not crime solvers. They're not FBI. They're not CIA. They're not government. None of us are. We're just couch potato sleuths, crime watching sleuths, whatever. Some of us are musicians. Some of us are movie people, comics, whatever. Here on this channel, we do a little bit of everything. Even DIY. Do your own stuff. Now, you folks have a great day. Be safe. God bless.